you do not know what was happening. So there is now somebody who has disappeared in your area. You are not aware. The only thing that hits you is, was there robbery? Was there, is this...
it's what you're normally used to dealing with.
Yes. But when again you go all the way to the top and the top makes a call and you see your person, that's a coup on our constitution. Because it was never meant to be that way. These offices are independent as per our constitution. And they should be operating without the need for anybody calling them. When you are talking about our education, we had looked at, and I remember the Supreme Court. I think we went all the way to the Supreme Court or maybe the Court of Appeal. We talked about economic rights. It's a progressive thing.
Yeah.
So we were going to get free education, free universal health care, and we were progressing towards that. Now we are supposed, all of us are supposed to smoke chicha. You saw some patients who refused to smoke that thing yesterday, or it was difficult to smoke. They tried it at Kenyatta National Hospital. It is not working. We had a functioning system, the National Hospital Insurance Fund. It was working.
It was.
We had even trials in 4 counties on universal health care. Can you imagine? We had already taken 4 counties on board where you walk into a hospital and all that you need to do is give your name, you are a Kenyan, and you are treated.
The pilot was done, yes.
Those pilots, and they worked. Now we are completely lost. You are supposed to show the kind of transactions you have received through your M-Pesa so that they allow you to see what kind of money you should be contributing. There is no Kenyan today who has an M-Pesa account. Hata ile ya kutumiwa ya kukunywa sigara, it will qualify you for 1,500 contribution on a regular period, whatever period they are using. So this thing of saying that there is a Kenyan who can be, given the system that they have put in place, who can contribute 300 shillings, is nonsense. What they are doing is that they are now denying Kenyans access to things that were looking almost ordinary under the leadership of Jubilee. I talked to a parent the other day who told me that it's amazing that even if you are helping your sister, your brothers, siblings, your nieces and nephews, because maybe your siblings were either have left you or are nimble, there before it was just a question of agreeing, getting them to school. And the system was taking them on board, universities, colleges. All you needed to do was to report. Capitation is sent. Today, there's no hope. There is no hope. Nobody knows what is going to happen next. So we have a corrupt education system. Literally corrupt. And I can tell you where we went wrong, maybe. No, we went wrong in many ways.
Is it really collapsed?
Yes. It is collapsed.
It may be heading in that direction, but is it really collapsed?
It's collapsed because when you take, I had a person who came to help in the house the other day to some mama, and the lady then realizes who is this? I should tell him what I went through yesterday. Maybe she gathers her courage and tells me, I took my child yesterday to school. When I went back later in the day, I found the child at home. Why? Because she was told, go back home until we call you when you construct the classrooms.
Yeah.
That's a collapsed system. And if you are a head of a state and this does not bother you, you still have an opportunity to fly out and go and see the Arabs. If you have that, you are murdering the future of our children.
I want to ask you
and
something.
They have a reason to get very angry. And instead of us getting angry with them, they are getting angry with us. And for that reason, they call us all sorts of names. You remember Bugoma? Somebody being told, shame on you, shame on you, on a national television, when the head of state is next. And the head of state is, move on, my young man, you are doing well, you are a future leader. We go this other side, Farah stands on top of the trees and calls us funny names, things that are not, I'm sure you not find it in the African proverbs. When you go through all the countries of Africa, those are not things that are going to be mentioned anywhere. And him, at his age, instead of helping the young people to know the things they should be saying and not saying, he utters things that are really bad even before you know what it is that he wants to say. The fact that he opens his sentence with those kind of phrases, you close your eyes and ears, and Ruto is there saying, just smiling and looking like he's, Kalenjin. We have come to this other side and Sudi, and they tell you, we know how to manufacture votes. We know how to manufacture terms of president. Those are individuals who are confirming to us that a coup was done on our constitution. And we have a reason to think outside the box, but within the constitution.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
And, we as Kenyans, and I'm just sure that this is who you're referring to, but then there are still would-be leaders, and probably still aspiring leaders who could be seen as taking advantage of a situation right now whereby, yes, things are not going so well, but then it provides a fantastic opportunity for an aspiring politician, maybe one who was there before, to say, see, if we had been the ones selected, things would not be going the way in which they are. Is that the case?
Certainly. I want to say here that one of the reasons myself I stuck with Jubilee, while the whole country in the region, or the whole population in the regions we come from, were all under the yellow fever thing, is because as part of our campaign, we were talking about continuity. And I know continuity is not a thing you want to market a lot when you are looking for a change of government. But it wasn't continuity in everything, but continuity at least of the programs that seem to have been working with improvements. Because you see, why were there pilots survey or pilot work in the universal healthcare industry? Is so that this National Hospital Insurance Fund, what kind of improvements are required for us to be able to achieve that universal health care? So those changes had to come with any new government. But these programs that were working and had worked for 10 years, it's very naive of anybody to just come and turn them all of a sudden and get to a new thing. And I call it, honestly, I tell you, I have not understood the chicha. And you can't blame me if the doctors themselves are unable to tell the patients what, the doctors have been turned to people who are just like people who want to preside over the death of people. A slow death. Because you cannot provide what the person wants. The person cannot go through dialysis. He needs to do dialysis twice a week. He comes, you say, the program, this thing has refused to open. What do? It's like you are now telling the person to go home and start really seeing you are going to die slowly. Well,
some actually die.
And they actually die before they get home. So it's also very sad for the doctors. You go to look at this university student. Before we went for Christmas holidays, 36 university students from Nairobi walked over to my office and he said, we are here. We ourselves are at a funding model we do not understand. If you ask any of us how much has been paid and what is expected of them they do not know. Those in first year said nothing so far has been paid on their account. They are not in the system that the university uses, because for you, I don't want to pretend that I can explain how it works, but I'm being told my wife lectures at the university, but she tells me, for your name, for the student to access the app and to be assessed, to be allowed to do exams, he or she must have paid school fees. So none of those in first year are in the system now, unless they bypass the way the system is supposed to work. So, but they are still waiting for money to be sent from the universities, and they are supposed to be given exams. So they have now gone back to the manual way of doing things.
Oh dear.
So this is a very pathetic kind of situation that we are in. So when you hear me saying perhaps it is upon us now to walk over and try and let some of these guys and check them up, see whether they can wake up, because they are in some slabberad somewhere. And it's very, very, very tricky. Them, they're just already looking at 2027.
That is the focus.
The focus is 2027, and how they can maneuver things. Bling 41 against 1, because that is one of the policies that is on the table. 41 against 1, and unfortunately, some of the other people we had in the opposition, 41 against 1 was used during the 2007, where everybody was, all the other communities were hyped and psyched and incited against those from the mountain. And that kind of those kind of controversies, onslaughts, would help sustain some political movement. KANU used it for quite a while, and they were in power.
KANU
Under Moi used it. Yes, and they were able to succeed in landing us with a minority leadership.
Yeah.
They would get voted in by about 30%, but then they'll scatter everybody else with, and you have 20, 29, 28. If you add up your other votes, they come to something like 40 something, almost.
No, it was more.
Sometimes 50, almost 60. But you have yes, you are right. But he was able to rule us with 30%. So this 41 against 1 is what was on the table. And some people are already celebrating in it. The appointment of Akina Kagwe, Akina Lee Kinyajui, Kapogo, Dirito Murithi, and all those people who were picked on their own account. People would want to lead more than that. But
you've actually preempted the question.
It was one on their own account.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Jubilee because
No. I am here telling you that the government is not working. If you have been taken on board like you have been taken on board in ODM, I should be here saying that Ruto should be elected to 2032. You have heard them say it since they got into the broad-based government.
We've also had the ST
come
sitting
there,
exactly where you're sitting.
Yeah, and saying that's
it is
not
the case.
Yes, correct. Now, you will not fight that double talk in Jubilee. As in Jubilee, we understand what is happening. And I'm saying that I have nothing. I'm not bad-mouthing any person who chose to work with the government. We want to see delivery of services. Time is not waiting. But it's a question of whether they are going to be given that opportunity to deliver on the mandates that they have been given. Is it a full mandate, or are you going to be required to do what others have been subjected to? I hope not. But what I was saying is that even with those capacities, I think I've lost my line of thought. But let me say we have to make sure that these systems that were working. That's what I wanted maybe to say.
Yeah.
These systems that were working before, you cannot be forgiven if you come and say that you are going to give us something better, and we end up seeing that even actually what was better is what was there before. That lack of foresight is what they are actually now substituting. And we're trying to focus. I now get where I was. The 41 against 1.
Yes.
And you can see some individuals, unfortunately, some of them from our coalition partner, Azimio ODM, seeing like it is an opportunity to hit us. I've seen very many tweets from some of the individuals trying to propagate the 41 against 1. And that's why I want to say this before I forget. Among there are many other things, because in the midst of all this, hii shida yote tumewekwa ndani yake jamani, kwa sababu hatuwezi kuwa tunaamka kila asubuhi. I never imagined that nitaamka miaka 5. Kila asubuhi ni kuteta kwa sababu ya shida. Kuteta tu baada ya shida. And I tell you, I've seen something very interesting this morning along the road. Matatu, hii kuguzana tu. Najua ni watu wanaweza kuguzana, lakini magari sikiguzana sinasimama. Watu wakiguzana wanaendelea tu. So we must thank our creator.
Yeah.
You don't get dented by touching another. Gari sikiguzana, maybe some matatu hata haikuguza, iliguza gari ya mtu mwingine. A young man in another vehicle that was ahead stopped, left his vehicle and came out. You know the road rage. Came out, was just holding his phone. I'm sure he may be dropping a child to school, the sister, sibling or something. Na akatoka akaenda, akakonga matatu. Tokeni nyote. And what did I see? Everybody in the matatu alighted, and it's like everybody was saying, Mungu saidia mimi. Because you could see the anger in the young man. Now, where is this anger coming from? It's not from that. It is the anger in the society. People are angry. They are angry. And he commanded the matatu to off the road. Sumama pale.
Yeah.
I commended him for that also, because he didn't create a jam. He actually cleared
the road
and told the matatu fella, sort out this mess. So, but you can actually see that kind of anger. Where is it coming from? Because nothing is functioning. Nothing is working. I am told the civil servants again, is it this month or next month, again, national, what do I call NSSF, the figures have gone up. On the same pay slip,
yes,
they have gone up.
Yeah.
They're eating. So why wouldn't you expect anger to be there? So instead of us focusing on those issues, we start focusing on a community, on another. In fact, I have said before that I have welcomed Ligiji come to our side. It's good that you now can see what we were telling you before you voted, ya kwamba hapo ni shida, umetuweka ndani ya shida, amekubali kutoka huko. He is actually the best he is the best soldier now to fight the system that he put in place.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I'm happy about that.
Sorry, yes, Jay, I have to ask you because I know we want to go to a break, but I have to ask you something there. You've just said the words that he's the best soldier to take over. So at that,
not to take over,
or to join. He's the best.
He's
soldier
the best
to join.
soldier. He's the best soldier.
Because he's been inside and he's seen what would have gone wrong. So
he's the
on
best
this
soldier
other side,
attacking and fighting the system he put in place.
Because he's been there.
Because not maybe because he's been there, but because he has now to fight them because they have thrown him out. And when you are fighting an enemy, you welcome everybody else. We need, let me tell you, colleagues, it's overwhelming to deal with the mistakes that are being committed by KK. You need as many people as possible to come and help you. It's overwhelming. Every single day there is a disaster that is in the making. Today, and it will come in a couple of days, it will be here. The NEMIS, the thing that worked for our students, is now being remodeled like the chicha. They have again seen a place where they can, do some bits of business.
Let's say benefit
from it, and they are going to collapse the NEMIS.
Let's take a break.
So before the break, allow me to say this. So if Ligiji can come and help us, slow them down, let it come. Of course, let him come, and we're happy to have him, and we are happy with what he's doing. Of course, what we have to be careful is that we do not want people coming out and then sprintering the opposition that we are trying to put together, because then you become an agent of William Samoei Ruto, who is looking for a way of sprintering us so that he can run us for 10, 20, 15 years, and for them to manufacture terms and manufacture votes, like they have said.
It's 24 minutes to 10 o'clock. The Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni, is our guest this hour, and looking at, is it time for an honest conversation in politics? If those who are on the out would have been on the in, would they have been singing the same song? We'll continue when we come back from this. Remember, you can register to attend the first ever Study Abroad annual conference that takes place in Eldoret on the 27th of January at the Eka Hotel, or in Nairobi on the 18th of January at the Gallant Mall in Parklands. Talk to professionals, match yourself with career choices, and also the best destination to pursue your education at the university level. You can also find out the best strategy to use to secure a student visa, accommodations, and as well as scholarships. Register www.cradle.com or call 0799 000 444 so that you can get an invite, because we need you to be invited to this. Register, that's www.cradle.com.
The security center has said that they are not involved in the abductions, but interestingly, they have failed to stop them as they are happening in full public glare. The president has equally said that he would want to see the abductions end. Kenyans want to know how many of our youths have been taken in since the abduction started, how many have been released, how many are still being held, and where it is that they are being held.
You pinch a small piece of clay and then put on top of the wheel head so that the other piece of clay can stick to that button.
Clay has a way of humbling you. You think something is going on well, and then suddenly it's looking not so motivating. And then it brings you.
They dry for maybe 4 to 5 days.
The more aged this clay is, the better.
Can someone mold clay as tall as you are or as tall as I am?
Yes.
Oriental culture has made these crafts evolve to art and what nowadays people do for fun and adventure. You know what? Stick around because you have a lot more to learn.
I want my family to remain intact.
The fear.
And some of the things that we are looking at and asking that question as we're going to the break, would we be hearing the same song? And when we talk about honesty needed in the political sphere, would we be hearing the same sentiment if the roles had been switched?
You see, I think it's good to have this conversation at this time, and it's very difficult for you to speak about yourself. But when we were campaigning for Jubilee and Raila Amolo Odinga at Azimio, we were campaigning using a platform that had been developed by Jubilee per se, because we were, I was talking about continuity because I had seen what had been achieved by the Jubilee government. Today, you can actually see all those programs that were meant to help us. They were like social support systems. The Ridamama programs. I'm told, I had some young people saying, it's no longer Ridamama, now it's Ridangombe. You know, these young people are very, very innovative. We had the ICT programs that were being run by Muchero, that were creating capital. We had the KEWOP. You are looking fairly young. This KEWOP thing, the Kenya Youth something. You remember that program?
Yes.
That was giving young people 40,000 shillings. And it was cashing all over the country. Now it's not there. This, you had even things like Kazi kwa Vijana. However crude it was looking, there was money being given to people so that they can afford something as the economy picks and creates proper employment.
Yeah.
So this kind of conversation, they are not easy to sell to people. And it wasn't going to be easy. Unfortunately, dishonesty, and this is why I like the word honesty today, dishonesty was used during the last campaigns. You bad-mouthed people talked about how selfish they are, the programs that don't work. Everything we did was because we had interest in those investments. You try and bring a bill that was supposed to deal with the issue of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. You say they are doing it because they have chairs, and when you get into power, you bring an Adani. You talk about the milk industry, and the next thing you do is you're opening powder milk from Uganda. It comes and fronts our market. All this, there was a lot of dishonesty, and unfortunately, there's still this dishonesty that is on the table today. And that is why they are not able to see beyond being angry with us when we point it out. So the things have been different, certainly, because why am I here today is to say, if we get an opportunity now, because that is in the past, these taxes that have been heaped on people will have to be removed. You cannot tax people beyond a point where they themselves cannot survive. The only reason that we are here is to help each other. So taxation must be reasonable. We must do away with all this taxation. The regulations that are being brought in the agricultural sector must be done away with. This thing of climate change, you have seen in the US, the Democrats lost on the account of climate change because everything about climate change was hurting the people. We now, I'm told there are some parts of our forests that we have to cede to the global market because of climate change. We need to understand what it means.
Yeah.
These are things. So honesty must be. When I come here and tell you, because I can see what is happening, I am among the people who are saying, to avoid all this and to ensure that Kenyans get out of where we are, we must put our ambitions, slow our ambitions. If I wanted to run for president 2027, I'm saying, and especially if I'm coming from the mountain, I'm saying, and I'm not saying people should not declare, but our position as Jubilee is this: we are going to run a non-mountain candidate.
Okay. Why is
our
that
candidate for Jubilee will be a non-mountain candidate.
It seems to be important. Why is that important?
Because
to run a
then I'm
non-mountain
able to deal with this 41 against 1. Because if people are taken back to the Moi era and they are told about these mountain people, like you had some of the individuals who joined cabinet the other day saying like some places have tarmac to their homes, others we have electricity. I would want to be outside and take the demands of my people to them. Me coming from the mountain, so that I can go and angle for development in my area while I'm not the one at the executive.
But even
before that, this is I hope you can and please allow me. And I keep using this example. I invited Oparanya to my constituency when I was a member of parliament. And I made Oparanya to drive not along the Nyeri-Nyahururu highway to get into the constituency. And when we got to a place called Dogino, he asked me, "Are you sure we are still in central Kenya?" I told him, "Yes, this is still central province, the way we used to call them." Then he asked me, "And what is this whole thing we've been..." Oparanya donated nurses from Butere constituency. He was the MP for Butere and MP and Minister for Planning. He donated nurses from Butere constituency to my constituency because all the health centers were without an officer.
Why?
Because we didn't have.
They need to be posted.
They need to be posted by the national government.
Yes, but then there's somebody
And
who does
the
the
issue-
job. There's somebody who does a job of ensuring that
Correct.
posting happens. Who's
You are spot on. They had been posted across the country, but the perception is that in our region, they are already, it's automatic. All hospitals will have even doctors and gynecologists and people who can do operation surgeons. But when you go in there, you realize the need that is there, the poverty levels. Yesterday, a research was released, and we will have time to talk about it. Look at the distribution of wealth, the growth that is happening across counties. Look at the counties around our region. So other than that, other than the fact that we want to ensure that mountain does not become the only block that is offering a presidential card, because we have a control of about 7 million votes. So any person we put there will either win or become a running, or will force a runner a second round of elections. Now we are saying these 7 million votes, and this is my appeal to people from the mountain. Tukubali sasa. Wacha sisi pia tukae kando. Tutafute mtu ambaye anaweza ongoza Kenya from another smaller community. Akuje, we give him our 7 million votes. We campaign with him. Of course, he must win the vote. Then we are able to take issues to him and say we need more constituencies like other areas.
But is that not what happened with these elections?
Well, it didn't. That time was not. It is. We are now making it a very deliberate thing.
And I'm saying it
Yes.
did because...
Okay, it did. We had Raila and Ruto.
Yes.
And what we are now trying to say, the difference here is this: we do not want to split our votes. We want them in one basket.
How did you split the votes when, in my mind, the tilt that came and what enabled the Keki government to win, it has been said, was the mountain?
It was a mountain because watu hawakuwa wamejielewa. Sasa wamejielewa. Walichezewa with the dishonesty.
What makes us think that wamejielewa sasa kama hawakujielewa hapo kando?
The thing is that we split our votes, and it's true we voted in Ruto and we voted in Raila. And we allowed ourselves to be manipulated, and we lost the votes for where we thought there would have been more sense for the country. Some of us. This time round, we are actually going to have another candidate, a non-face what you are saying, because Kenyans are also looking for new faces. Faces that have not been maybe seen, but faces that have not tried this thing before as a candidate. But we still have others, like we have still Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. We are not saying that he's not there, but we are going to have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is a candidate in the opposition, Wiper. We have Omarwa, a candidate in the opposition, DAPK. Yes? So we are saying Jubilee, another party in the opposition with a candidate. And I'm now talking about Jubilee, where we are saying we have ourselves decided that, but it's a thing that we will carry across the country to ensure that it is also coming from the people. But our thinking is that we have a candidate who is an Kikuyu, helping us. Remember, we never had a candidate as Jubilee last time.
This thing that you say, is this not what Uhuru Kenyatta was trying to say?
No. You remember Uhuru Kenyatta was trying something different.
What was he trying?
But he tried something different with people in other parties. Yes. So even as he was trying it in other parties, he didn't have the attitude to help, because we have picked you from the Proverbs party. Yes. So you are controlled by the Proverbs from all over the Africa. But now we want somebody who is also in Jubilee. We're saying, Sisi, because let me also tell you why it will be a little different. When we went to everywhere we went and became tenants without rights. And not rights in a manner, you are in somebody's house. Na wewe umeingia tu, hata nguo zako uliacha nje. Blanketi uliacha nje.
Kwa nini?
Kwa sababu ulifikiria ukiingia kule utakuwa kama watoto wa dunia hiyo.
In politics.
Sasa si ndio makosa hata Rigiji mwenyewe anasema amegundua hiyo. So this time round we are saying we are going in all these things, but we are going in as with our party Jubilee, and we are asking people in the mountain to know that kila mtu ako na nyumba yake ambaye na nyumba yetu ya kisiasa. Not to say that we don't have the political parties, but the dominant party there is going to be Jubilee, because we are going to work hard to ensure it is. We had very shambolic nominations 2022 within Jubilee that hurt very many people. And the people who are in charge of those things have since been put aside. We are going to ensure that we have better nominations that are determined by the people, so that we can be able to also have quality leaders and people who have
Jubilee
approval.
was undermined from within.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it was, we had very shambolic nominations. I mean, that undermining from within is what had continued for even after the elections. The same people who undermined us when nominations were going on are the same people who are fighting us when they had an opportunity to get in parliament and elsewhere. But now I can tell you where we are. We are in a much better place where we can tell you, and even in the words of our party leader, Uhuru Kenyatta, he wants fair, free nominations. The person who ends up on the ballot must be the person the people in that electoral unit want. And that is something that he has repeated to me severally, because while he was in State House, he now knows people messed those he had entrusted with the party.
Would you have taken a position?
It was very late in the day for somebody like me who came in much later. Because if you look at all the nomination certificates and Kenyans, people, even those who didn't understand, I never signed any.
Okay.
They were signed in other smaller rooms, and some others were signed
and
at we
everybody has that story about where they were or where they were not. Everybody will say, well, I wasn't there when this happened, or I wasn't in the room.
That's why I've never said it before, but I have evidence. Go and look at the certificates.
Now. Yes. Let me ask this question. If you had been offered a position, just as some notable individuals who would have been who are in the same circles as yourself, if you've been offered a position, as we have seen with nominations, would you have taken it?
Is it if or why?
If you had been given the bone.
No. Let's start with why you.
Let's start with where you offered one.
They were available, and I think they are still available. Yes,
and you have declined to take them.
I am committed to this cause, and I'm not saying those.
To the cause, but did you decline a position that was offered to you most recently? You could still be committed to the cause.
I want to ask a frivolous question. Can you transfer the offer?
Now I know. When they come, I will tell them there is another office down the road. Go there and try it there.
Why
it is not possible. I have been at the forefront at saying that this system is not functioning. I do not think it is going to function. I wouldn't want to use my energy that way. For it to function, much more will need to be done. I see a lot of difficulties with the way they have managed our constitution. Some of these things started going down while we were still in parliament. When I was in Parliament, one of the things I thought we should have done was to create a parliamentary committee to oversight or to oversee the functioning of the constitution commissions. The constitution commissions were meant to check the executive, the excesses of the executive. It was not possible because, again, the parliament that we had was under the control of UDA, which was still in being formed. And you know, UDA, you can actually see everybody who migrated to UDA was still in UDA while you were on the floor. And I sympathize with what my speaker, Muturi, is going through. But you can see he was also part of the team that quickly went to UDA. Now, the things that we were fearful about are the things that are happening. We were not able to protect, to give constitutional protection to commissions so that they do not go through what they are now going through. Kibaki, Uhuru did not overrun them. And I was always fearful that if we do not protect these commissions and allow them to lobby for their budget directly from Parliament, they continue being under the CSs, we will eventually lose them again to the executive. That's exactly what has happened. So these are things that I have been at the forefront, and I really want to see some of those things done. Is it possible to get them done under this system? No. Is it wrong for people to go and join and perhaps hold the river before we all we all drown? No, let them help those who can, and we will support them. Those who join them, Mutahi Kagwe, Deri Kenyajui, Derito Murithi Kabogos, and Wadais. I have been in Wadai's office. The person I have not been able to access is Buddy. Buddy said something very strange, that he is not going to give us any money in our region for development because sababu anasema ati barabara zetu zimewekwa rami. Si akuja tembee kwangu mwenyewe.
Did he say that?
He said that.
Did he say that no money will come to you, or did he say that
He
money
said it
will
in
go
public.
Other places.
So when he said
say
other
that-
places,
did
other
he say
places,
that no money will come to Central.
when
or
you
did
say
he
money
say
will
that
go
money
to other
will
places,
others? Not
it means
necessarily.
that that's why I'm saying let him come over and we compare the tarmacking that was done and see how much tarmac was done in this X and Y. There is a delivery unit which was delivering, and you can go and check the record. It's unfortunate. So we are saying it's important that why am I not? I would want a project that stored, worked on. I was pushing for a dam called the Pesi Dam in our region, that area. Up to today, nothing. It's stored. We had this Ridoni Lemuru Maraba Road that had been signed at 160 billion shillings, so that it became an expressway. What did we see this Christmas? Everybody complaining and then actually blaming the thicker side which was done. Uhuru had signed at 160 billion.
Yes.
What did William do? He went back to France and cancelled, only for him to resign to go back again and get the same contract done, now at 180. Sijui 20 imetoka wapi na imeenda na nani. But it looks like it is the order of the day. These are some of the things. Look at the NIS. NIS has become a special branch. When we were doing the 2010 constitution, one of the debates that took a while with those who were in the system and those of us who are outside was the new, you remember it was NISI or something like that.
Yes.
And while we were now coining
NSIS.
yes, when you were coining and the new NIS, the debate was, we want arms. He said, no, we are not going to allow you to use arms. We want arresting power. He said, no, you are not going to allow you to use arresting power. Because we had the history of the special branch. Where are we now? Under the special branch. We are under the special. As I leave this place, I am not just going to walk to my car. I will be looking left and right to see whether there is a Subaru. And you think this is a joke? My own driver was the first person to be abducted when we started maandamano. He was abducted and we tulimpata huko amewekwa pande ya Tanzania. Where was he abducted from? Here at Capital Center. Where was I? I was hiding in one of the hotels. So they abducted him because they were coming for me. And it took us a while to get him. And I can give you the date. His name is Paul. He was abducted on the 26th of March 2023. Before even Akinan Babu were arrested. So these are things that have touched us. There are things we are leaving. And I'm telling you again, yesterday after the press, you look left and right. Not that I fear, but I want to know the guy as he comes. I want to see him coming. If he comes, if he wants to abduct me, itakuwa ni kazi pia, lakini ni sawa. Si ati utanibeba tu. Mimi sisarishi. Nimemaliza na nimemaliza kusomesha. Itakuwa rahisi kama ni kifo iwe. So some of the things are so deep that we cannot just take positions. I believe Kenyans are going to bring a change in this country. And what the Gen Z did on the 25th of June last year, which I believe should be now a public holiday. It should be a public holiday because that's a new generation of people who came to fight for the freedoms now as provided for in our constitution. After that, and the fact that somebody stood on top of parliament, a sharpshooter, with the authority of those in charge of parliament, and shot at people who voted for you so that you can represent them. And they're coming to ask you, why are you allowing this kind of taxation on us? And you shot at those young people. It's very difficult for me to ever join that kind of a team. And I can tell you here, a visit to Ishaweri did not mean working with Ishaweri. You can also visit. And there are those who have said that goats were taken. Those are ridiculous. Allegations.
Okay, it would be interesting to see how things unfold in the near future. Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, Jeremiah Kioni, has been our guest this hour. And
before the hour is gone,
do
you know all the police cars in this country? For 10 years, under Jubilee government, you could tell this vehicle belongs to X police station. So any person arresting you is coming from this X police station.
Now,
all of them, the names have been wiped. You now have vehicles along the road. You do not know from which county this guy is. 2 days ago, somebody was arresting somebody at Grove Roundabout. When he was finally made to identify himself by the Central Police Station, he was from Makueni. An OCS from Makueni or someplace.
Thank you very much.
Ridiculous things that are happening.
Jeremiah,
We
I know,
are a civilian coup. I think it is time that we also arrest people.
Well, thank you for being here this morning. Like I say, always conversations must continue. Asante sana, and we hope to continue with this with you at another time. Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's 10 a.m.